Hi guys,
Hi.
welcome. Thank you for joining us today. To give some context as to what I'm planning to do today. I had been running cold read classes at the Actors Temple for a few years, and obviously we haven't been able to get in the studio for 6 months. I was just sort of hoping that we'd be able to get back in, but it's not looking like happening soon. So I want to test out a version of cold read online. I think there's a lot of advantages that we can play with online. Obviously, the person to person connection is the difference online because we're looking at boxes here. But I my own interest in cold read has come from maybe a bit of dyslexia on my part, a bit of a disconnect with words, and I think getting stuck in a pattern, a melody, a way of saying a line that has left me unable to really take direction. Basically, I got taught Shakespeare at school, so there's the iambic pentameter of how you're supposed to be speaking, and it took me a lot of effort to shake that off. That there is a correct way to say a line. I did some training over in LA with Margie Haber, who is fantastic at working with text. Okay, Yvonne, thank you. Yeah, you're dyslexic too, so welcome. Yeah, we'll have a look at how that affects our relationship to text today. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, please just chuck them in the chat because this is going to be a more interactive session than a rigid structured class today. So yeah, my own discovery with text has been um, trying to work as much as possible to remove any intention from the text, at least initially. I have a theory that upon first contact with the page, we must be able to experience the words at a below the neck level, which is not to feel you are in service to the writer, the story, the character, the relationships. You are just hearing the text for the first time. And in this case, what we're going to be looking at is what do we do then? If we don't know what to do and we're just making noises, what are we doing? Because acting is doing, right? Acting, action, doing. So I suppose the short answer to that is for us to explore how much we can really get from our partner. Yes, we need the text, but more than that, we need our partner. What do we need to do to prioritize our partner, the connection that we have over the text? Otherwise, I am just regurgitating my premeditated way of speaking to you. And how you respond to that never really penetrates because I'm just talking at you. So, yeah, just as a show of hands, how many of you guys have done a cold read class before? Okay, great. Oh, nice. So, Michelle, Leonie, and Shen. All right, interesting. I suppose I asked this at the beginning of my cold read classes because I'm fascinated as to why people show up to them. I mean, the classes that I was running were very popular. And it's not immediately obvious to me what skill it is that we are training in a cold read class. I'd be really interested to hear from you guys in the chat just what skill it is you think we are training, what how is this helping our acting as a cold read exercise? Because essentially what you're being asked to do is to not act. That's what I'm going to be saying a lot today. Georgie said listening. Yes, that's really, I mean, any decent actor will tell you that is the first port of call for acting is listening. We first have to recognize our own responses before we have any business in manipulating that response to be in line with the character. So yeah, listening definitely. Leonie's saying not to be scared of new text. Yeah, that's a huge one. There's something that, especially if this has been your case too, that panic or upon receiving a bit of text for the first time is real heart beating, palm sweating stuff. It's the kind of thing that can make you want to fall under a rock and not come out again. My body goes stiff. Yeah, Yvonne, I hear you. And that's not a creative space, is it? When your body is stiff and there's tension, there is that voice saying, this isn't going to go very well. Everything about that situation is saying, abort mission, get out of there, run for your life. You're in survival mode. So that relationship to text, we need to have a real good look at, so that we can take this either ink on paper or this, however we're receiving the text, in this case through the chat function of Zoom, and at first take a breath to go, it's okay, I'll do what I can. If I say the word wrong, if I mispronounce something, if I cough or burp or fart or fall off my chair, it's okay. In fact, if anything, that will probably be more interesting than whatever the writer has put on the page. So that initial relationship to the text, meaning just do what you can, especially at this point. There's a time to be studious, there's a time to do research, there's a time to think about what would my character do. But at this point, on first contact with the text, you're just having an experience, a human experience. And in this case, we're going to be attempting to see how far we can go with transferring all of our attention onto the person we are talking to, and as little attention as possible onto the page. Now, that's not to say never look at the page. There comes a point, like when you're driving and you have a sat nav, there comes a point when you need a bit of direction, otherwise you'll get lost. But what we're going to try to do today is delay that as much as possible, so that we sit in that discomfort of, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I don't know my relationship. I don't know where this story is going. If we can sit in that discomfort and keep that connection with our partner, so that is our anchor in that type of person to person, what I'm about to say, you don't know what you're about to say, like in real life. No, right? We don't know what we're about to say usually. To sit in that for a moment before switching into, I need this text to save me. I need this text to get me out of this pit. So we'll have a play with that type of a relationship to text. I suppose, to answer my own question about what skill it is that we can practice here. Yes, it is listening, as Georgie says, but I think there is something to be said for recognizing that as an actor, it's not your place to be in control all of the time. In fact, it's more interesting if you're not. Some of the best cinematic moments, or some of the best, most resonant moments on stage, have been something that isn't supposed to happen. And if you can allow those little happy accidents to creep into your work, which in this case is to just not do anything and see what happens before resorting to text, to allow that struggle to seep into the thing that you're doing, because any decent scene has a struggle in it. So especially on screen, where you're in a close-up, if you're having a little bit of personal struggle with not knowing what's happening, guess what? That reads as a character struggle. Wow, they really don't know what they're about to say. They're having second thoughts about this proposal. They really want to say something that they're finding difficult. So if we can dare to sit in the discomfort of not knowing our lines, I think that is going to help us a lot for today's introduction. Yeah, so just to break down the the cold read class. Cold read is, the script is cold. Now, I'm still working out a format to, oh, hey, Lydia. I want to use this Zoom format to be able to get scripts to you in the moment. Today, I'm very lucky because I have Leonie here who's going to be adding the text into the chat functions. Obviously, in the room, we would have the page in our hands. We don't have that luxury here. So I want to see how immediately we can get the text without having anything sent out in advance. So that's what we're going to have a look at today. I suppose that means on your part, guys, if you can commit to not being scared of the silences, not being scared of, I don't know what to do. My answer to that would always be check in with your partner. Maybe we can try a check-in exercise. If what I'm going to be asking you to do a lot today is to turn off your camera. All of you are muted, so thank you for that. But I'm going to be asking us to take turns in unmuting and muting ourselves, turning our videos on and off so that we can create the illusion of a private space. Now, the theory about good acting is that you are having private moments in a public space. So, of course, what you are going to be conscious of is that you're on a Zoom call in a cold read class and there's 7 people watching you. So if I can ask you to, as much as possible, when those thoughts pop up, check in with your partner. And I'm going to do this in a initially in a slow way to check that firstly we see each other. So Leonie, can I ask you please if we can have Georgie and Michelle have their videos up and everyone else to turn off their videos. I'll have my video on for the moment, but I'll switch mine off eventually. Thank you. Great. Shen, that is an amazing picture of you. How are we not going to see that with a white moustache? Okay, thank you. So Michelle and Georgie, can you unmute yourselves, please?
So if you click on somebody's 3 dots at the top and say hide non-video participants, then you'll literally just see the people who have their videos on.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I'm clicking on the 3 dots and hide non-video participants.
Yeah.
Where is that? Sorry, Leonie. Hide non-video.
It should be in the, like, if you click on somebody's 3 dots who has not got their video on.
Okay, so let's say you. Yeah, I don't get that.
Maybe it's because of your device. But everybody else can do that. So they'll only see Michelle and Georgie.
Perfect. So if everyone does that, maybe it's good that I can see everyone anyway.
Mm.
So yeah, Georgie and Michelle, hello.
Hello.
Great, thank you. What you may have experienced something like this before, but what I'm really interested to do at this point is to just check that you two can really see and hear each other fully. And obviously, you know, we can see each other, we can hear things, but I'm talking about to really see each other in the way that actors need to see each other. So maybe I will take myself off video. And
Do you want us to pin the video, Tom?
say that again.
Do you want us to pin each other's video?
Oh yeah, maybe, yeah, pin each other, and then actually you won't see me interrupting you. Yeah, it would be great, I think. So Georgie, if you can take a look at Michelle as you see her on the Zoom call, and I'm going to ask you initially to notice a fact, and we could talk all day about the scientific or the dictionary definition of a fact, but for now, if you can just say one thing that you notice about Michelle that cannot be argued.
She has big eyes.
Okay, now I'm going to argue that. Big is your interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be a version of that or find another fact that could not be argued?
She has glasses.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Michelle, I'm going to ask you to do the same with Georgie.
She's wearing a stripy top.
Yeah, great. That's hard to argue. Perfect. All right, let's move on then. So, Georgie, if you can find a feeling related to Michelle. Now, for now, let's just see if you can find a feeling that you believe she is feeling. And maybe if I keep it within 3 options, mad, sad, or glad, and dare to get it wrong, but just really see Michelle as you see her and find one of those 3 options.
Sad.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And Michelle, if you could do the same with Georgie.
Sad.
Lovely. Really nice. Thank you. And thank you for being brave enough, because we're getting into the realms now of daring to offend, which is how we have to work together as actors, right? There's this non-verbal agreement that we have to dare to get out under each other's skin. So the next thing I'm going to ask you to do, Georgie, if you can look at Michelle, and if you can share an opinion that you have about Michelle, just in one word.
Kind.
Kind, lovely. That's really nice. Can I just elaborate on that, Georgie? What is that based on? What did you notice?
From her eyes.
Right, great, beautiful.
She's quite open.
Great. Yes, totally. I totally agree. Thank you. Michelle, could you do the same with Georgie and have an opinion about her?
Clear.
Again, sorry, Michelle?
Clear.
Clear?
Mm.
Lovely. Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Amazing. Okay, you two. Now, if you can hold that type of a connection and let this be your home base, if you can let this type of seeing each other become your default way of noticing each other, you can see the clarity, the kindness, you can see the glasses, the stripy top, and you can see the sadness. So if you can hold that and prioritize this over anything else. Now, Leonie, what I'm going to ask you to do, please, is to take the scene which is labeled coffee, and if you can assign Georgie A and Michelle B. Now, if you two hold that connection, what's going to happen in your private chat is you're going to get a chunk of text. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is, knowing that, Georgie, you're going to be having one side of the conversation, and Michelle, you're going to be having the other side of the conversation sent to you. Again, really take your time and prioritize this contact that you've got, so that when in doubt, you come back to your partner. But there comes a time where you're going to need to have something to say. And at that point, you can go into your chat function, take the line, in this case will be the first line. We know in this case that Georgie starts, so we're going to kick us off, Georgie. And then get as much of that line as you can. It may be the whole line, it may be half of the line, but you can be the judge of how much information you can take in. And if you need to say it to yourself 3 times so that it is in your head, then please do. So if the line was, what are you doing here? 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 You've got it, you know it. You come back to your partner, you find that connection that you've been harboring here, and then you just let that line fall. Hey, Liz, if you can turn your video off for us, please. Thank you. Or maybe Leonie can do that. Lovely, thank you. And then Michelle, once you've heard Georgie's first line, you're going to really listen to her, make sure you heard her, and then take a moment to go to the chat, get the next page. Now, I'm going to be, if there's something that I need to say, I'll jump in, but otherwise I'm just going to let that play out, and you two are going to be speaking to each other. Just to be clear, at this point, dare to be the most boring you've ever been in your life. Dare to not act. I know we're on a call and you will feel some attention on you, but for you guys to practice the majority of your attention on the other person and get everything from them, so that you don't hit us with any meaning or context or story. You are just bouncing these noises to each other. Now, hopefully, just to be clear, if I keep my video on, is it distracting for you guys?
No.
Okay. I'm going to keep my video on just for ease. So take a breath, you two. Just remind yourself what you noticed about each other without speaking. Just remind yourself what you really saw in each other. In your own time, Georgie, and I promise you, the time that you think you're taking is not as long as it seems to you. At this point, everything seems like it's taking forever. It really isn't. So let us just take a breath, both of you, and take your time.
Hi. Oh.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to be really picky, Georgie. Can you be even more throwaway with that first line?
Yeah.
So now I know I'm nitpicking here because there was nothing wrong with what you did, but can you not put any meaning into hi? Can you just look at Michelle, get something from her and say hi? Now that's not to say be a Dalek and be robotic like you're dead inside, but that's just to not over communicate anything that isn't happening. Because there I heard a little bit of surprise, but we've been on a call for 15 minutes, so
Yeah.
it's not the first time you've seen her, so there's no acting required. Okay, so I'm going to shut up again. Take your time, line if you need it, and then talk to Michelle.
Hi. Oh.
No thanks, what?
Coffee.
Michelle, can you repeat that same line?
No thanks, what?
Coffee.
Yeah, well,
Nothing.
nothing. It's the way you.
What?
Okay, I'm just going to call cut there. Nice, thank you both of you. Yeah, the lines might have got a bit twisted, but what's more interesting is your experience of that. Georgie, go first. How was that for you?
I was really I was in my head a lot, but like in a good way, not a bad way. It felt
What do you mean?
like, what are you talking about? I wanted to know, but I didn't want to. I felt there was this barrier.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very common because our desire as actors is to make sense of everything. We want to get something across. We want to impress. Now, at this point, there is nothing to impress upon anyone. There is nothing to communicate. All you are trying to do is express yourself to Michelle, to not impress anyone, but to just say those words to your partner. The temptation is for the actor to be wanting to make sense of what's going on. Why are we here? Why are we speaking to each other? So to sit in that not knowing, you allow us a little peek behind the curtains. You allow us to see what's going on behind your eyes, even though it feels uncomfortable. But I'm sorry to say this, but it's not your business to be comfortable on stage or screen. So yeah, I hear you though, because we want to understand what's happening. But at this point, there is nothing to understand other than how you're feeling. So thank you. Maybe we'll get a chance to go again. Michelle, how was that?
Yeah, the chat thing really threw me. And it seems I can't read things in order. Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
Elaborate on interesting. If you heard me say this before, Michelle, interesting is something you don't want to hear when you come off stage, right? When you ask your friends, so what did you think?
And the lighting was fabulous. Yeah, I think because I got a bit thrown by the way that the script came up, I think. But there were this sort of what I meant by interesting is the pauses in between our connection. The dialogue was, I found that sort of like surprising, and yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I just would prefer to have something in my hand.
Yes, right. Only we had the page there. Okay, well, let's forget about the order of the lines. Let's forget about how it made sense or not. And I'm gonna ask you both. There's no real way of me testing you how much you can honor this, but if you can have these moments again without looking at your chat. Now, maybe I could see if your eyes go off to the side to check your text, but try not to. Now, if we run that again from beginning to end, not trying to get the lines right, but just seeing what happens. If a line pops up, if it comes to you, then it does. If not, don't worry about it, and see how much you can remove any anxiety about the lines, the story, the themes, the blah, blah, blah. Just you two talking to each other as you just did, but not using the text at all. Just see what happens, and I will cut you at some point, but obviously prioritize your partner over the page. I'll mute myself again.
Hi.
What?
Coffee?
No, thanks.
Nothing.
Well, no.
What?
What?
Okay, thank you guys. I'm going to call cut again. Georgie, how was that?
Yeah, better.
Yeah, how come?
There's just more of a connection, I felt. And even though I didn't really know the lines or whatever, it didn't really matter.
Right. Yes. And what a more pleasant experience to have, even if action's just been called, or even if the curtain has just gone up, to not be worrying about making sense. You're like in life, maybe what we're really responding to it is how the other person is with us. More than, oh, I wonder what I'm going to say next. We trust that that's just taken care of. Michelle, how was that?
Yeah, I clearly didn't know the words, but that's fine, because it was more just seeing what Georgie was going to say.
Yeah.
So it felt more like a conversation, and it seemed to have more of a weight to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And actually the irony is, of course, that when we weren't worrying about the text, you guys seem to be having more of a fluid, logical conversation than you were the first time round when there was a script there.
Yeah.
Shen, don't worry. Shen's got to duck out. No problem. Thanks for joining us. Actually, everyone turn on your videos again, please. I want to see everyone again. And I'm very interested to hear from those that are watching what that seemed like. I was watching and I could project my own idea about what was happening between them onto how little they were doing. Liz is saying, I can't start mine as it was cut off. Sorry, Liz. But in the for those that are watching, maybe let's see. Yvonne, can you unmute yourself? Maybe I'll ask you what you got from that. Was there anything that you perceived they were doing?
I think they were really focusing on the other character for me. The second time round, they were really feeding off. Can you hear me? Because I've seemed to you frozen, Tom.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like the second time they're really feeding off each other, really looking at people's reaction. So they wasn't rushing it. So Georgia was actually looking at Michelle and reacting to her the way she was responding. That's what I found.
Yes. Isn't it funny that seemed like a more genuine conversation than when maybe the first time there was a little bit of concern about the script.
Yeah.
Thank you. Drew, can you unmute yourself? What did you get from that exercise?
Well, for me, it seemed much more intense, and there was sort of more tension in it, naturally, which was good. And yes, they were more focused on each other, more connected.
It's true, isn't it, that I think what we're most scared of as actors is getting found out. We don't want to be seen to be unbelievable or untruthful. And yet, if we just shut up for a second, the audience can project what they want to be seeing onto what we're doing. As long as there is something happening, hopefully the connection is there. And then we as the audience get to fill in the blanks. The bits between the words sometimes are more interesting than the words themselves. Really interesting. Maybe let's just, for shits and giggles, can we, Liz is saying, I want to apologise for lateness. Don't worry, Liz, at all. This is a soft introduction to a cold read class, so let's not be too hard on ourselves. Could I ask Yvonne and Drew, if we can have just your videos up and everyone else to turn their videos off, and we can play with another scene. So only if I can ask you to cue the next scene of that length, which is called Love. And if everyone else can, mute themselves and put turn your video off. It's like, love it. Yeah, and Sarah, maybe, or Leonie can turn off Sarah's video so that we've just got it. All right, guys, how you feeling?
Great.
Nervous?
Try not to get tensed.
Great. Good. Have you guys worked together before?
No.
No.
Right. So first time, which you get a lot of things for free when you're working with someone for the first time. Sometimes it's very difficult to work with someone you know very well, because you're like, I've seen you drunk, or I know what's going on in your life. So here we have a lot of things that if we are open to it, we get as free behavior. I'm going to ask you to do you remember the exercise I asked for Michelle and Georgie to do to notice each other? So maybe Yvonne, if you could go first, could you tell me a fact about Drew?
Who's got a blue t-shirt on?
Yeah, that's hard to argue. Yeah, definitely. And Drew, could you notice a fact about Yvonne?
Yvonne's got red headphones.
Great. Yeah, fantastic. And let's move on then to the more intimate observation of a feeling. So what do you reckon, Yvonne? Have a look at Drew, and let's give you 3 choices of mad, sad, or glad. What do you notice?
He has a pleasant face.
Nice. That's lovely to say and lovely for Drew to hear. Can you see if there is an extra level to that, which might be noticing how he's feeling emotionally, either mad, sad, or glad?
He's glad. He's not sad. He's glad.
Okay, glad. Great. And Drew, could you do the same with Yvonne?
She looks sad.
Great. Thank you. Really nice. And Yvonne, can you notice or can you have an opinion about Drew in one word?
Kind. He looks kind, caring, kind. Yeah.
Pick one of those, kind or caring.
Caring.
Great. Really nice. And Drew, could you do the same, please? An opinion about Yvonne?
She looks lovely.
Thank
Lovely. Ah, good. Okay, so now we've established a form of contact where you can see and hear each other. You're brave enough to have a stab at what the other person is feeling, and also to have an opinion about that person. That's the beginnings of a good type of authentic connection that is required of us. So if you can make this your default, again, prioritizing this contact over anything else, even though we are all at home, so there's bound to be distractions around us. If you can get very Zen-like in your focus, so that your attention is heavily on your partner, and only when you really, really need to would you break that connection to go to your text, which Leonie hopefully has uploaded into your chat. Now, that same type of focus that you have on each other, if you can bring that to the text to, when needed, to get that line, either the whole line or a chunk of text, and then come back to your partner, make sure they're still listening to you, check in with them, and then give them that line without any overacting, without any extra meaning or intention. So take a breath, both of you. And I think we before managed to pin each other, if that helps. So Yvonne, if you can click on Drew and pin him, and vice versa, if you can pin Yvonne's video. So let's say then, in this case, Yvonne, you would be A, which would make you B, Drew. And really take your time, be conscious of any temptation to push or force anything, and dare to be the most boring you've ever been. But keep that connection you've got there. Take your time.
Do you love me?
That is not the point.
Not answered my question.
Take your time, Drew.
Yes, I love you.
That's it, isn't it?
I have a, thank you guys. I have a theory, Yvonne, that something is always about to happen when the actor calls cut. So there's something very brilliant about to reveal itself just when the actor goes, okay, all right, I'm done, we're finished, right? It's
Yeah.
we have to as tempting as it is, we have to get out of that habit because it's just not our department. That those final few seconds after the text is finished, it is probably the most uncomfortable it's going to get, and you are guaranteed that that moment would be in the final edit. They would leave that moment just hanging just after that I love you, or just to see that reaction. Even if they didn't use it then, they'd find that discomfort and use it for something else. But anyway, Yvonne, how was that?
I thought it was okay. I think I connected with him. I think until the end, I think I was connecting.
How can you tell? Is there a way of measuring that?
I'm trying to look at his. When I say the words, I'm trying to look at his response. I'm thinking, has he actually listened to me? And I don't know if I was listening to him, but I was definitely looking at him. But I don't know. I can't answer it. I can't answer it.
It's funny that that's how we monitor things. I think I felt connected. It's like we've got the head and heart talking to each other.
Yeah.
I suppose how might you know you were really listening to a sibling or a close friend? How would you know?
Because you'd sort of come in a little bit with your face, or you'd respond with a nod, or
What about on the phone?
on the phone, I'd probably nod as well.
Yeah, there'd be
Right.
some impulsive response
Mm.
to what the other person is saying. And I think in terms of acting, we can train that by allowing ourselves to really hear what's being said below the neck, so that everything they said, it's as if it were their dying breath. It's as if it was they were about to say something that's going to change your life. It's as if your life depended on it, like
Right.
you would if you were in the company of someone you care about. Everything they say penetrates you on such a deep level that it forces meaning. It creates the type of contact that is tight, like a tightrope, and cannot be broken. And that's when that is present, that is when we lean in to go, oh, there's something going on there. So that's a good thing to practice. Even when the brain kicks in and says, it's not going very well, is it, Yvonne? We go, now shut up, I don't need you right now. I'm listening on a deep, deep level. Drew, how was that?
No, I enjoyed it. It was when we're asking Yvonne to reflect on how it was. I was thinking, was I really listening?
Right.
Was I concentrating on what I was saying? I felt connected, certainly, when I said, when she asked me about whether I loved her or not, and particularly when I said, yes, I love you, because that naturally brings that out.
Of course.
But yeah, there's that like the afterwards you think, what was I doing?
Right. Yeah. And I suppose we really want to know that, right? As actors, because what we're doing is untangible. So when we come off stage or after the cut has been called, we're like, was that okay? Was I doing the right thing? And yet it's kind of, again, it's kind of none of our business to know if it went well, if the story came across. We've outsourced that to other people, to the director, because they will tell you if it's gone badly, and then to the audience, because they will all have their own ideas about what was going on between you two. 100 different people are going to go, oh my, they'll all have 100 different ideas. That was like a mum and a dad talking, or that was like two friends at a funeral. That was like, everyone has their own and I suppose if we're acting for the right reason, it's more about their experience than our own. And even, that eternal question of, how do I listen? Was I listening? suppose that's something that is a state to be practiced of putting your partner on such a pedestal that you cannot help but find what they are saying important to you, even in this bizarre way of working where, you know, where there's things we're supposed to be doing and there's glitches in Wi-Fi and everything else. Can we still come back to that person? Really nice. So again, I'm going to ask you guys to do the same thing. So without looking at the text, and I trust that you are not going to cheat. I'll mute myself. Don't try and get it right. Don't try and do a scene. Don't try and stop looking, Yvonne. I see your eyes flicking. Stay with your partner. Take a breath and just see what happens. You may or may not remember that first line, but just let it play out. And dare get it wrong. Dare for this to be the worst acting you've ever done in your life. Good. Have fun.
Do you really love me?
That is not the point.
You didn't answer me.
No. Yes, I love you.
All right, guys, I'll put you out your misery there. That was beautiful. Drew, how was that?
Yeah, it was good. I sort of half knew what the middle line was, but I thought it doesn't seem to fit.
Right. Yeah, sure.
So, so I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, and that has to be our default state of I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to go within myself. I'm just going to do something. I'm just going to say something. And what we end up with is these lovely micro moments, like Drew, you kind of slipped a little bit, and it read to the audience, I can only speak for myself, as, oh, he's struggling. Oh, he's choking up a bit. He's getting emotional. For me, that was my experience of that. Now, of course, your experience of that might be, oh God, I'm an idiot. Why didn't I know that middle line? But actually, it's as Georgie is saying, there was so much palpable tension. Yes, exactly. And that's something that if we had been rehearsing that for 6 weeks, that would have been hard to recreate, that little stumble, that slip there. And again, that would be something that made it into the final edit. Thank you. Yvonne, how was that?
Yeah, I think I'm getting to understand what you're saying. Just try not to focus too much on the words and I think for me, I usually rush things. So this was a very slow pace for me. So yeah, and I felt it. I just want to get the words out and get it, you know, so I really, really felt it. So thank you for that. And I'm getting to understand it. So I'm going to come back again and learn more and more.
Yeah, please do, because that is, if you've had a mini moment like that of feeling something, even if it was just once in those 2 lines, you get something that you can't, you don't want to recreate that, but you get a sense of, oh, I let go and it was fine. Yeah. I let go of any control and nothing went wrong. And actually I felt something, genuinely felt something. And it makes you feel alive, as if you're doing something for the first time. And it's funny that however you understand those lines, or however well you know and there's a time to know your lines, but for now, when you don't know your lines, just have that connection and let it play out. Because if you're watching an amazing scene, works in any language, you don't have to understand what they're saying, but you know that those 2 people have a connection. You know that they're listening to each other. You know there's meaning there, and that plays out. That's what we respond to. Not mostly what's being said is more to do with story, is more to do with the plot of the film or scene or whatever. But the connection has to be prioritized over anything else. Really nice, guys. Thank you. Everyone come back if you turn your videos on again. I'd love to see your faces again. Now, great. Hello. Ah, look at those lovely faces. I'm really interested to play a couple of other things just before we run out of time. So we've got a couple of scenes lined up. Oh, I've got a message saying my internet is unstable. Leonie, can you see me? Okay? Yeah? Okay.
Not quite glitchy, but it's still all right.
All right. I'll try and move slowly. So let's have a look at those really short scenes, and we'll have some fun because it's quite intense. This type of connection, even over a Zoom call and even in a class for an hour, it can be exhausting. Now, something that is never mentioned in drama school or any training is the type of stamina we need to maintain these deep, authentic connections for long periods of time. So let's in a classroom environment, we would have some fun in the space, but for the purposes of today, let's have some fun with some little directions that I can give you. So maybe can I ask Liz and Sarah to unmute yourselves and keep your video on, and don't leave them alone if we turn our video off, apart from Liz and Sarah. Great, thank you, Liz. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. And Leonie, while we're talking, could you send over the 2 different sides for the exercise called Hi? And in this case, this is going to be a very short scene, guys, but we'll have some fun with it anyway. What have you noticed so far, Liz, about a cold read exercise?
Oh,
Pressure.
it's intense.
It is, right?
Sorry, can I just double check? Did you want the directions as well? I would send them first and then the script.
Let's send the directions after. So we'll let them do a dry run of the scene, and then we'll give the instruction. Thank you, though. Yeah, so it is intense, right, Liz?
Yeah.
In a good way or bad way?
Oh, good. Yeah, this is not what I expected, but then it's my fault for being so late.
Well, no, don't worry about that. I think you're really beating yourself up. It's fine. It's
I'm just not normally. Oh. What do we do with it? Oh.
Great. Don't worry about it just yet. I'm going to ask you first to take in Sarah. Sarah, how you doing? What have you noticed about the class so far?
Yeah, like Liz, and I was here to begin with, Liz, but yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting at all. Completely different. Yeah.
Why? Why is it different? What's the thing that you're?
Well, I wasn't expecting to be focusing. Well, I didn't know what to expect, to be fair. I mean, I've done cold reading. I mean, I think we've all done it. You pick up the script and you just have to go. So I've never done any sort of real connection with the scene partner or any of this, any preamble at all, to be fair. And this very slowness, this, where, as you say, we want to leap in and fill that space. It's kind of scary.
Very scary. Eckhart Tolle talks about in his book The Power of Now why we, you've got that friend who, when you're talking, they're just waiting to talk, they're not really listening. If you've broken a bone, they'll tell you, oh yeah, that's happened to me, I did that. Moment. And Liz, if you take your time, and then when you're ready, when you get a little hit of a feeling, when you get a sense that you are really connected with Sarah, when that is at its peak, like a wave of connection, when you feel that peak of connection, I want you to take a brief from your partner, get that first line, and then you two are just going to really take your time Slow right down. We're going to bounce these words backwards and forwards. It's a very short scene. Take your time.
So you mean repeat them?
No, just when
Do it.
Exactly, as
Just two lines.
Yes, but then one line, and then Sarah's going to have a line, and then your other line. If you can prioritize what is happening between you and not the lines, then we're going to see what relationship we've got here. I mean, even without the scene starting, I'm already looking at you two like, oh, I wonder what this relationship would be. And that's what we want to see. We want to get invested about why are these two people talking to each other. So take a breath.
Hi.
Hi.
Been waiting long?
Ages.
Lovely. Really nice, guys. Thank you. Liz, how was that?
I was trying not to cry.
Me too. Me too.
That was just so sad.
Absolutely. It was there on both of your faces. That sadness was so visceral. There we go. There the tears are coming now, Liz. Great.
Yeah.
You felt it too, Sarah.
Definitely, yeah.
And what a joy from this supposed scene. Any idea about how it's supposed to go goes out the window, because the thing happening between you two is so much more interesting. Bless you two. Thank you so much for giving us that moment. And we're going to mess around with that now, because that would have been a take that we would go, all right, we've got it in the can. They cried. Yes, they cried. But now Leonie's going to send you a direction. So it's going to be an instruction for you in your private chat, and you're going to do the same words again, but with this new direction. So remember that the first thing to do before trying to do any acting is make sure you're really looking and listening to each other. Good. Yeah, good. Yeah. Nice. So let this wave hit you. Do that, and then great. And then once you're ready, come back to your partner and really take them in. Great. Take your time and really play with it. All right, I'm going to pause you here. Both of you, take a break, take a breath. We've slipped back into the previous scene. We've slipped back into the previous version of that scene.
Oh.
Now, the thing that's most interesting about what happened to you both when you saw that little bit of instruction, see if you can play that. See if you can do that up to 11. So we don't get stuck in the last time we did this scene. Good. Now even just mentioning it, you two came alive. Don't get stuck in that trap of making it dramatic. Good. Go back to each other. I'm going to mute myself now and play with that note. Yeah, really.
Sorry, Tom. Who speaks first?
So the same scene. Liz will speak first with hi, but you're going to be with your behaviour doing that direction and really go like pantomime. Go over the top. Yeah.
Sorry. Why?
This has been waiting long.
Oh, you too. I could watch this all day. Amazing. Well, that was different. How was that?
Whoa.
Everyone come back. If everyone turns on their video again, and I'm really
Oh,
interested
God.
to hear what you think was the note that you gave them. So in the chat function, just see if you can have an idea about what we said to them, and then they'll tell us. Let's see if you can guess it. Liz, how was that? Without giving them what the note was. Different kind of tears
weird.
there.
I don't know whether we both had the same thing.
No.
I don't. It's really hard to know, but it just really affected me. It's just weird.
Yeah. Amazing. Sarah, how was that?
Oh, well,
Nothing.
I mean, mine was quite amusing. What my little line, but it definitely wasn't as amusing as Lizzie's. And obviously, she's absolutely hilarious. So I just went by her.
Oh, God.
Yvonne thought that you were given the note comedy. Georgie thought that Sarah's character was dressed as a clown at a bus stop. So, can you tell us, Liz, what your note was?
You've taken hallucinogenic drugs.
What you had?
Brilliant.
Yes. Oh, God.
And
Well, mine was a fly.
yours?
A fly has flown in my mouth.
Oh, God.
But I was going off you completely because you dissolved.
If I'd known there was a fly in your mouth, there would have been a different reaction. Oh, God.
Amazing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Now,
That was so funny.
two different versions of that scene that could not be more opposite, the opposite end of the spectrum, but the connection was there. The whatever was going on between you two, everyone, we wanted to be part of it, right? Give me a thumbs up if you want to be a part of that conversation. Yeah. In fact, if I think we might have to start winding this down, but what I'd really like to do, if everyone unmutes themselves, I want to just hear from everyone. This is something that we all can do, even with 2 lines of dialogue. We can create something totally unique and authentic without 6 weeks of rehearsal, because there's something that you get if you look hard enough. You can get in the moment with a little bit of a tweak. You've got 2 very different versions of that scene there. Georgie, how was that to watch?
No, there's a massive difference. I was sucked into both of them for different reasons. But the first one, I was so with you, I wanted to cry. And the second one, I literally could not stop laughing.
Oh.
100%. It was electric. What was happening between them? If this is, am I still very slow, Leonie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This might be my cue to close this session for today until next time, where this is going to become a regular thing, and I'll work out a format of doing this. Lydia, I'm sorry you didn't get to work. I'm so sorry, but let's yeah, promise that we all come back and do this again. I want these classes. Yeah, good. Thank you. I agree. These classes are going to be longer, I think, at least 2 hours, so that everyone gets a chance to go and we can play with different notes and different texts as well. So, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've missed these classes in person, but this is a great thing to start up online. So, yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to love you and leave you. Until next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tom.
Really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Good.
Lovely to see you all.
See you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
That's brilliant. Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
everyone.